something God has taught me in 2020. I've learnt throughout the year, I spent the year studying the Gospels. I also started the year reading this book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. Fantastic book, thoroughly recommend it. And what I observed in the Gospels and what this book taught me, despite the fact that a lot of the hurry was eliminated from my life through COVID and through the lockdown, but actually what the book focuses on is the lifestyle of Jesus, and that we as Christians are apprentices of his, and an apprentice works and observes works in the same way as their master does, and spends time watching them and learning from the way that they go about their day. And that's what I kind of spent a lot of 2020 focusing on. And what I noticed was that Jesus didn't seem stressed out. He didn't seem rushed. He didn't seem irritable or ill-tempered. He didn't let trivial things get the better of him. All of the things that sometimes I struggle with on a day-to-day basis, and especially during 2020 when so much changed and so many things got in the way. I mean, I trained to do a marathon twice throughout the year, and both times it was cancelled, and I found that incredibly frustrating. But because there was so much change, because there was so much uncertainty with it, it really forced me in a way to reflect on why I put so much emphasis on planning and building up certain expectations in sometimes minute detail, and you really just don't see that in the life of Jesus. He didn't plan out each day in its entirety. In fact, most of Jesus's miracles were interruptions, where he was on his way to somewhere or from somewhere, and people came across his path and got in his way and came to him with a problem that he responded to. And so if Jesus was dealing with all of these interruptions and all of this and all of the pressures from the people that were against him and were trying to kill him and trying to undermine what he was doing, he had immense pressure and immense stress and immense scrutiny, yet he seemed to take all of that in his stride. And I think part of the reason for that is because he didn't set out really detailed expectations of his day. He knew who he was, he knew what his purpose was, he knew where he was going, but he didn't spend time doing that. And we read in Matthew's Gospel in chapter 10 verse 9, when he sent the disciples out, he told them to take nothing with them. And I think that's what God has really been saying to me. We don't need to plan and prepare for every eventuality. When we, like Jesus did, focus on God, focus on prayer, focus on inviting the Holy Spirit in, focus on fasting and dedication to living a godly life, actually God has grace for any circumstance, any situation that we're facing. And I think that's so important for us at this time. I didn't expect to be homeschooling and trying to work at the same time and also trying to study at the same time. If I'd known about that beforehand, I would have been panicking. But actually, it's okay. I feel God has given me grace for this season. And I work for Compassion. They're a fantastic employer, and they do an awful lot to ensure that of the well-being of their employees. And one of the things that we've been reflecting on is Psalm 46 verse 10, be still and know that I am God. And that's the same sentiment. And Matthew 11:29 says, in the Message translation, says, talks of the unforced rhythms of grace. And I think that's what I feel God has been saying to me. I'm trying to learn it. I don't always do that well at it. But what God has been saying to me is that he has everything ready, that I don't need to plan and plot out and map out every minute of every day. And I don't need to live up to expectations that I set for each day, each week, or each season. That actually, if I just focus on God, if I focus on Him, if I concentrate on being an apprentice of Jesus, His grace will be sufficient for me.